the Idries Shah Foundation podcast. Practical Psychology for Today. Featuring the works of Idries Shah, voiced by David Ault. Welcome to the Idries Shah Foundation podcast. In this edition of the podcast, we will hear selections from Reflections by Idries Shah. This audio has been made available by the Idries Shah Foundation.
Delights of a Visit to Hell. A man once thought, "How I wish I could be master of the option to be dead or alive, so that I might know what it is like to be dead." This idea so dominated his mind that he sought out a dervish and enrolled himself as his pupil. When, after many months, he judged the moment suitable, he said to his teacher, "Reverend sir, I have for years desired one thing, to be able to be alive or dead as I wished. This is because I find it difficult to visualize what it would be like to be in that condition. Would you make it possible for me to achieve it?" The dervish said, "It would not help you at all." "I am sure that all experience is useful," said the man, and he continued to plague the dervish until he agreed. "Very well," said the dervish, "adopt these special exercises, and you will be able to enter the domain of death and return at your own desire." The man performed his exercises until he had perfected them, and when he felt that he was ready, he threw himself into the condition which is generally considered to be death. He found himself disembodied and waiting at the exit door of life. A subtle form in the shape of a man came up to him and said, "What is your desire?" "As I am now dead," said the man, "I would like to see heaven and hell, so that I may be able to understand the advantages and disadvantages of each." "Certainly," said the angel. "And which would you like to visit first?" "Heaven," said the man. The angel took him to a place where people were walking about, surrounded by every luxury, and dressed in beautiful garments, eating precious fruits. They were all undoubtedly beings of the greatest purity and honesty, but the visitor felt that there was not enough variety in their life for him. He said to his guide, "Please may I now see hell?" "By all means," answered the angel, and took him to another place. Here he saw people reveling and romping, laughing and crying, making and breaking friendships, building houses and destroying them, and living a remarkably similar life to the one which we all know on earth. But hell seemed to have distinctive advantages. It was more interesting than heaven, and there were opportunities for personal gain evident to the visitor, which had not yet been observed by the inhabitants, and which far exceeded those open to people on earth. He said to his guide, "As I am master of the option of living or dying, I think that I will now settle down in hell. Can you arrange it for me?" "Nothing easier," said the angel, "providing that you will change permanently from the status of a visitor to that of a resident." The man affirmed that he indeed wished to remain in hell for all time. Then the angel knocked on a door, and two massive demons of frightful aspect appeared. "Take him away," said the angel, "for he has decided to join you." The demons seized the man, and crushing him in gigantic talons, began to bear him off towards a furnace. "Stop!" cried the man, and he appealed to the angel. "If this is hell, what was that place which you showed me, saying that it was hell when it was not?" "That," said the angel, "is not the hell for the permanent residents. It is the one which is shown to visitors." Monks and Modesty. A monk, much respected in his community, said to me during a conversation in which he had become animated, "I am the most modest man in the entire world." He continued, "I defy anyone to find in a lifetime more than 5 or 6 others as humble as me." What is, to me, awesome about this is not the man's own blindness to what by his own lights was a defect. It is rather the insensitivity of all those people who, when told this story to date, have sought to account for his behaviour by calling him, almost unanimously, an exception. People can live a lifetime without noticing that precisely this tendency may be, in one form or another, manifested and noted in our presence every day.
Two Gurus. There were once two gurus. They meditated and lectured, studied the lives and sayings of the ancient mystics who taught that man could control his outer life in order to attain release from the bondage of events and escape from the tyranny of the environment. One of the gurus knew the properties of secret herbs and had contemplated in the hermitages of the Himalayas. He had made pilgrimages and darshan visits to the abodes of Mahatmas great and small. He had attended the gatherings and rituals of the forests and the temples, and he was thoroughly versed in the mysteries of the sacred mantrams. The other guru, who lived at some distance from the first, had for many years instructed disciples. He had himself been a chela of several masters of high repute. He was familiar with the scriptures and the ancient classics inscribed on leaves, and he had measured his length along the ground in spiritual journeys to countless monasteries. He had practiced posture training and mandala gazing, had eaten the berries of the hermit, and had worn the robe of the sannyasi. He was regarded as a perfect master by his followers, and by many who knew him, and many who did not. One day the second guru was visited by the first, who said to him, "I have a young and recent disciple who wishes to attain moksha. I have sat with him and chanted over him, and I have also breathed on him and recited holy words, but he still seems very restless. I have exposed him to silence and to vocational exercises. We have meditated together and rung bells. The beads are never still in our fingers, and we have kissed holy relics. What would you advise me to do with him now?" The second guru asked, "Have you had him on a bed of nails?" "No," said the first guru. "Very well then, try that." A few days later the first guru returned and said, "It is with reluctance that I trouble you again, but I am in need of advice from my troublesome disciple." "Is he still restless, even after lying on a spiked bed?" "I regret to say that he is." "Very well then," said the second guru. "I now advise a course of concentration upon secret inner sounds, hot and cold baths, and an application of holy oils and certain ancient breathing exercises." The first guru went away, only to appear after a few more days, to report that all was not well with his chela. "He seems to lack resolution, and the course of holy efforts is not visibly taking effect." "We must resort to even more advanced methods," said the second guru, "and this is what you shall do now." He described a regime of special gyrations and calisthenics, the application of charms, a period of silence, special robes, and several other secret and initiatory techniques and procedures. 3 days later the second guru was sitting with his customary serenity at the entrance to his ashram, when the first guru again arrived. "I suppose that you have come for further guidance for your disciple?" asked the second guru benignly. "No," said the first guru. "That is not now necessary, since the man is dead." "Dead? When did he die, and how?" "He died suddenly in front of me this morning. He just went limp and collapsed. When I raised his head, I saw that all life had departed from him." "But did he say nothing before he died?" "Hardly anything. Just before he fell to the ground, he had started a sentence with the words, 'When am I going to get some food?'" Deserts. People buy my books and sometimes take the trouble to write to me about them. Sometimes they send copies to be autographed. None has ever enclosed postage, so it costs me as much to post back their copy as I earn from it. Today I have had a request for an autograph from someone who asks me to refund his postage. Do authors get the readers they deserve? Overweight. This man is too heavy, said the doctor who had been called in to see a patient in the land of fools, and his ailment will undoubtedly become worse unless something is done about it. He went home, leaving his knowledge and expecting some action to be taken. When he returned to see the patient, he was met by sorrowing relatives. "Doctor," they said, "the man was sicker than we knew. Even after his weight had been reduced, he died." Perhaps he did not get his weight down fast enough. Oh, it couldn't have been that. We decided that the best way to take off weight was to cut his head off. We had that done in 5 minutes. Banal. Banality is like boredom. Bored people are boring people. People who think that things are banal are themselves banal. Interesting people can find something interesting in all things. Milk. A man who had come to visit me said of someone who had just left the house after a gathering, "That man came in here looking exactly like someone who was trying to find a pint of milk." I asked him what made him so certain. "Because," he said, "I used to be a milkman, and I should know that look." Criticizing. Who is the wrong person to criticize? You. Crudity. Two people can illustrate crudity to you. The first is the crude man, whom you see perceiving the diamond as a stone. The other is the refined man, who makes clear to you the crudity of the first one. Secrets. A real secret is something which only one person knows. Games. Denial and affirmation are games which people play. There are people who deny that they are capable of denying, and who would insist that people do not insist. Understanding. People are always trying to understand. There is only one way to do that. It is to discover why you want to understand. Thinking point. What makes you like me? Overheard at a party. What does it matter whether we like one another or not? Surely it is the deeper things in life which really count. The talisman. Once upon a time, a man picked up a talisman. On one side was undecipherable writing, on the other the inscription, "Talisman for transforming stones and gold." He took the talisman to a place which was covered with stones and said, in the approved formula for such operations, "Talisman, do your work." In the twinkling of an eye, the talisman had turned into a stone. Hope. It is not, "Have I got a chance?" It is more often, "Have I seen my chance?" Enemies. Enemies are former or potential friends who have been denied, or think that they have been denied, something. Teaching. Teach honesty by all means. You do know what it is, don't you? Perfection. Because there is a word for perfection, people will always imagine that they know it. Hatred. If you want to strengthen an enemy and make him exult, hate him. The reason. A man from the land of fools wanted to pull down the clouds. Why? Someone asked him. To squeeze out the rain. Aphorisms. Few things are more absurd than wise saws originally designed to inculcate or maintain the social needs of a society long past, when they are applied to today. Stimulus. A pungent thought is a corrective to deterioration of thinking, like cold water helping slack muscles to work again. If you dislike the thought more than the sting of a shower which stimulates, and you do not feel its regenerating power, prepare for your mental obesity to possess you completely. It won't be long now. Belief and knowledge. Knowledge is something which you can use. Belief is something which uses you. This podcast is copyright 2016, the Idries Shah Foundation.